But what we're looking to do presently is to really focus a lot of that skill and a lot of that attention on Guyanese artists.
Yeah.
You know, because it's about time that, you know, people who understand the industry put more of an investment into Guyanese, into themselves, which is Guyana. But at the same time, we're hoping that Guyanese artists do understand the workings of music business, because again, it's not music for hobby, it's called music business. Why is it called a business? Because it is a business.
That's right.
All right. So once people have that idea, because a lot of individuals I notice in Guyana kind of treat music as more of a hobby thing, but music is not a hobby. Music is a business.
I think because of not having you know, copyright legislation in place, you know, we tend to have most of our artists
Leave.
not just leave, but they tend to think, well, I might as just well have this as an hobby because I don't see where I can really take this to another level where I can benefit from it. And you know, much is not being done in terms of lobbying for that legislation to get in place. But when we have persons like you, voices like yours, myself, and other brothers that I know, constantly, you know, bang and compress the system to get this in place and to honor our people, you know, it's art. We were taught that we start music in school.
Well, let me bring everything to the fore here. Now, what people do not understand about what we're talking about, because I think a lot of people get confused when I say intellectual property and copyright. It's the same, all right? But let me break it down into layman terms. Anything that comes from your mind, that you think it up, and it's an invention, it's a creation, it's something that you develop from your mind, it's covered on the intellectual property. And that word should give you an idea of what exactly it means. Intellectual, which means coming from your mind.
That's right.
All right? Property, which means owned by me, by my mind. This is my intellectual creation, which is protected on the intellectual property. All right? So once we understand that context, we understand that, okay, so clothes, designs, architecture, music, the arts, theater, movies, every single gamut, okay, outside agriculture and some aspects of agriculture is covered on the intellectual property. Because if you're gonna market and promote, you've got to be able to patent pen certain things. All right. Now, one of the things, and this is something on a side that I really argue about. I was in New York and I saw a bar in Manhattan called the Demerara Bar. Right? And I inquired from this guy. I said, "You Guyanese?" He's like, "No, I'm not Guyanese." You know, but I had a Guyanese friend, and you know, he used to talk about Demerara, and I liked the name. And he took the name. No, you don't go to New York and see an establishment owned by a white man that says Aki and Saltfish. You know why? Because Jamaica has intellectual property, and they protect everything that comes out of their environment or that is built in their culture. You can't take the thing and go use it. In Guyana, we have a case where we don't understand the power of intellectual property, and we allow anybody could come in right now. Anybody, they could like the name of anything, cassava, anything that we have that we call an indigenous name, because they're indigenous names for all the products that have English names, and they can use them. But we can't protect it. We can't say, well, you gotta pay us for the use of that. All right. This is why I made the analogy of the Demerara, because if we don't understand what is our intellectual property, and even to break this down further, everybody likes champagne. They see all the rap stars with a bottle of champagne. A bottle of wine is never what you think it is. Champagne is the name of the region in which all the wine growers establish their wineries. So that region is Champagne. All right. Now, everything coming out of the Champagne region, all the wines that come out of the Champagne region, whether it's bubbly or it's dry, it's called champagne. This is what we call geological establishment of intellectual property on a particular area.
Yeah.
You understand what's going on?
This is broad because this
is broad.
The world took this.
No, this is world
Yes.
known. This is world known. Except for our little 83,000 square miles that inhabit.
Yeah.
Because it's in Little Barbados. It's in Trinidad. It's in all the little territories that you think it ain't there. It's right there. Because they, once you see them, for example, all of these little islands have a music industry. And they have a very little population. So why would you have a music industry? You got a small population. Because they understand intellectual property.
What would you say based on your knowledge and your experience? What would you say? Because I constantly keep asking this question. We get down to the bottom here. We get here like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
What would you say needs to be active and what do we need to do to drive this home so that this can, be something that will come to reality there?
First, we need, let me go straight to it. We need a coming together of all the artists. And when I say a coming together of all the artists, we don't need a separation of the Linden artists from the Georgetown artists from the Bernese artists. We need a coming together of all the artists, all the creative people together, as well as the private sector. Because the private sector is what has a greater voice to the government, all right, and affects legislation. Once we have that, those two voices together in unison, the government will have no choice but to, at least to start to enact or to start doing research on intellectual property to bring that in.
Beautifully said, Malachi.